All righty, everyone, and welcome to today's session, Back to School with Lumio. So ideally, we'll look at different ways that you can leverage Lumio at the start of your school year. Obviously, you've all started your school year, so how you can use Lumio as you start those first couple of units as you go through that very beginning stages of the school year. So I'm going to just, quickly hop over to where I'm going to have you guys sign into my session so you can be a part of today's um, really interactive activities and then as a teacher. So I am going to pause here and have you all follow these instructions, but I'm also going to copy this and put it in the chat. Sometimes this is much easier. Just click on this link in the chat and then just join in on my session. I'm also going to join in as a student. I'm going to go in incognito mode here. 246-157. Me. If you ever want to see what your Lumio lesson looks like from the student side, you can open up an incognito window and sign into your own lesson. My name is Michelle Conway-Gray. I'm the PD specialist for Lumio and Smart Technologies. The first couple minutes here, we're going to go through the student side. And for those that are not as familiar, we're also going to look at some strategies that you can use this for start of the school year. And that requires signing into my session. So I'm going to just quickly, again, go to my classroom management tab here. I always have this toolbar to the side when I'm running a lesson. And this is called my classroom management tab. In there, I can change, I can show the class IDs. So it's always down here, persistent code always at the bottom here. I also can see who has already joined my lesson. I can change the pacing of a lesson in here. I can convert a page to an interactive space, which we'll take a look at today. But I also have these little instructions. If I pop this out here, pop it up, and here are all my instructions of how kiddos could get into my lesson with their devices. Real quick here, you have a class ID. All of us have unique IDs. Mine is always 246157. You're going to find your class ID when we get to the teacher side. And then also, as teachers, we join as a guest, but we prefer our students not to join as a guest, and we will make sure I show you how to turn that off if you don't know how to do that. So the start of the school year looks a little different depending on where you are, but we're still going to look at how we can leverage Lumio for back to school. As I mentioned before, we're going to experience some of that student side, and then we'll have some time to build an activity or two in the teacher perspective. First activity here, we're going to do a quick little icebreaker. This is called Respond. This is the formative assessment tool in Lumio. However, there's really fun tools embedded into Respond, so it doesn't necessarily always have to be used for a quiz, and you can mix and match the question types. So you're going to see that in just a second. So I'm going to start this for the class. On your end, you're going to be able to answer some of these questions. So in your browser, you will have Lumio since you just signed in, and you can answer some of these questions. All right, so let's see how we're feeling. I'm going to go to question number 1 here. I'm going to say show live results. Only 68% of my students did answer this question, but I am going to just see how we're all feeling here. So I'm going to hit show live results. The question was, how do you feel about utilizing educational technology in your classroom? Majority of you said A, which is sometimes surprising. A lot of people live in B or C, so that's really nice to see that we have a group of educators at JCPS that are always down to try new things. All right, let's see how we're feeling about the start of the school year. Word cloud, so the word gets bigger as it's being utilized. So if the word is the biggest, that means most of you have said that. So I see here a list view as well. So 9 of you said excited, which is awesome. 1 said excited with an exclamation point. So you can use response so many different ways. You can use it as, like I said, a formative assessment. You could always test the students on their previous grades content to see where they all are. What I like about font, if I hit end activity here and hit end and review, This is the only activity that's going to give me this export of results. So I can get a quick spreadsheet of their data. So this is a good activity for that. All righty. So real quick about Lumio. You can do a lot of things in Lumio in 1 hour. We're probably not going to cover every cool thing that you can do in Lumio, but today we're going to look a little bit at some of the getting started, just quick wins for you for the back to school. So we'll look at some of the games. We'll also look at some of the Lumio library ready-made content as well. And then just to keep in mind, no matter what you have, you can bring it into Lumio and turn it into an engaging space for your students. So I like leveraging the design elements of a Canva or a Google Slide and then bring it into Lumio, and then that being my vessel for engagement, delivery, all that stuff. So just some things to think about when you're looking to add some of these tools in Lumio. Lumio is not an end-all be-all. It works really well with other platforms as well. So just taking a look here, there's a lot of things that you can do, and we're going to be doing a series of these webinars throughout the school years. A lot of these pieces are going to be put together in each new session. So keep a lookout for some different sessions this school year. All right, a quick little self-assessment here. Where are you on your Lumio journey? So this is actually designed in Canva. Like I told you, I love the design elements in Google Slides and Canva, but nowadays more so Canva than any other platform, but it's in Lumio. So this one, these bus, I use the infinite cloner feature in Lumio, and I just need you to take one of these buses and tell me where you are on your Lumio journey. So I'm going to go to the classroom management tab here. Right now it's view only. Once I go to my classroom management tab, I have 3 options: individual space, group workspace, whole class. I'm turning it into a whole class whiteboard. I'm sure there might be a few of you that potentially have used Jamboard at some point in your teaching. And with Jamboard, not being much of a thing towards the end of this year, this is a good alternative for whiteboard space. Someone flattened their bus. I'm going to go over here to the everyone can edit feature over here and swipe this off. So now it's back to view only for all of you. So it's nice. A lot of you are novice, so this is a great baseline for us throughout the school year, so you can get a little better and better. Also, I can click on any of these contributions. So this question could have literally been anything, like where are you on your SMART journey? Where are you on your fractions journey? So this type of check-in you can absolutely do in any lesson. I could just change the wording. Also, we have a bunch of these like SEL, just like quick check-ins with students in our Lumio library, so you could always repurpose them. But like I said, I designed this in Canva and then brought it over to Lumio. Let's see who flattened their bus. Who is my bus flattener? Brianna flattened her bus. So I can actually see who contributed what to the page. So I could use this for student grouping or something like that. So the first thing we're gonna do is a little quick fun monster quiz game. We're just going to see who knows their back to school facts here. So I'm gonna hit start for class. This one is really fun. It's a team game. It's based off of like a Kahoot style game, but you are on a team and you're going to see some other things. So I'm going to say divide into teams. We have about 23 students. So let's do 4 groups of 5, which might put a few groups of 6. I do have the ability to switch teams. So if I need to switch like myself over here and put Carrie over here, I do have that ability to switch the team up. So I'm going to hit start for class, start the music, and let's do this. Good luck. You should see the students they have so much fun. So definitely use this maybe for test review. Like I said, you could always use it for like back to school review for maybe some extra information from the previous school year. So I was 7th grade math teacher. Maybe I do a little 6th grade math review. What I really like about Monster Quiz is that even if they're sitting in the same classroom, their questions are shuffled in different orders. Their answers are shuffled in different orders. I can hit review as a teacher, and I can actually see how the team did. Obviously, even though Blizzard Blasters won, but they had a 40% accuracy, but they finished the fastest. In the class review, I also can review how we did with the questions. Some other things I really like about Monster Quiz, you might have noticed, I like how it goes back through the questions with the eliminated answers. Actually seen like seniors just go nuts for it. And game-based learning is obviously a thing. Kids really do engage with game-based learning. So a really fun game that you can use in Lumio. So some other ways that you can leverage Lumio, this was just something I pulled from the Lumio library. I just changed the wording just a little bit to make sense for the content area I'm in. I always had my kids do a little goal setting at the start of the school year. What do they want to get out of the school year? Whether it's personal, make new friends, get an A in my math class finally this year, whatever it may be. I just wanted to highlight some things here before we move on. So first things first, you see here, some of you may have been in Lumio sessions last year. Some of you may be completely new to Lumio. However, there is a new feature that's really fun. So I'm going to go to my classroom management tab here. And this time I'm going to turn this into an individual handout. A couple things I do want to point out. So you each now have your own copy. All of you have your own copy. I could hop into Amy's and see how Amy's doing. Not that I told anyone to do anything. So no worries, Amy, if you didn't do anything. I can see people working in real time as they are working on this assignment. I also have down here. So if I hop into Emily Jackson, for example, I can say, okay, great job, Emily. She's probably typing out here. I have this little toolbar just like you all do. And I have a gallery, it's called, and in my gallery, I can say, okay, great job, Emily, give her an A+. All right, so I can give feedback to you as you are working from my own computer. Let me go into Emmanuel's here. Emmanuel hit done, so that's why you're going to see a little check mark. Oh, she took it away. Sherry has a check mark next to their name, so they hit done. So I can hop into Sherry, see how she's doing. But let's just talk a little bit about your student toolbar. So I'm going to hop into teacher handout here. Down below, I have on the right-hand side on the Zoom screen, if you're looking at that, I always have a clean teacher handout, so I don't always like lose a clean copy of it, if you will. So if I click on teacher handout, I can pull up the handout. Carrie asked me, did you make this slide in Lumio or Canva? So this slide was pulled from the Lumio library. So this creator could have absolutely made it in Canva and then brought it over to Lumio. Okay, so let's look at some of the tools just so you know. New feature that came out. At any object on the page, text or an object, if I had some sort of object in here, you can add attached audio to that object. So the students can click here and hear about
short-term goals are measured by days.
You can click on this typing area. Of course, I locked it in place so they wouldn't be able to do anything with that. I can unlock it or I can type here. Term goal is ... If you wanted to add text, so Emerson, maybe I just have to show you real quick how to add text. So you have all these tools here. You have a pen tool if you ever needed to highlight text for the assignment. They have a highlighter here. They have an eraser. They have a text tool, which is this A. If I click on the A and click on the space, I can start typing. My math and science folks, you always, both me and you have equation editors. So if I click on the equation editor and then click on the space, they can make different math types, different chem types. Some of the chem type stuff is way above my brain level. I was never really good with chemistry. And then they also have this immersive reader tool. So this immersive reader tool is really amazing for accessibility purposes or early readers in your classroom, ELL readers in your classroom. So it highlights all of the text on the page. If I click where it has the instructions, it'll pop me out to immersive reader. I can
identify the focus of your short-term and long.
Slow it down if I need to. I have all these other text preferences over here. I can change the sizing. Maybe I have some visual impairment, need to change the background. One of my favorite tools, obviously, because I was just talking about ELL learners, reading preferences over here. I have the ability to change the language on the page. So I can say, choose a language, and maybe I have a Spanish speaking student from Mexico. Swipe it through the document, and now
identifica el enfoque de tus objetivos a corto.
So instead of me having to make a bunch of copies for a Spanish version, an English version, a Russian version, they can just use immersive reader with the editable text on the page. I have a picture dictionary, so they can click on it, hear a word, see the English word for it. So really fun tools in here to explore. Trust me, in future sessions, we'll dive into that a little bit more. One of the other fun tools now that just got added while you all were hopefully enjoying your summer break, in your gallery tool, it's the heart, the plus, the little picture and circle. If I click on that, I have my stickers here, which they're going to keep adding stickers. I have my tool, my line tool, my image tool, so I can look up. I want to make friends, so maybe I pull in a picture of friends, put it right here, and then I can obviously grab links as well if I needed to maybe link something in here. But I have this microphone, which is brand new. If I click on the microphone, I can record myself talking and leave it for my teacher. So think about a million different ways that you can use this. But let me show you real quick. So I can hit the recorded audio. Hi, Ms. Conway. My goal this year is to make friends and finally get that A in math class. Hi, Ms. Conway. So then I am now attached audio to my page and my teacher can look at it and hear my voice. Finally, there's so many resources, but I know a lot of teachers who have morning meeting routines for their school year that they just have a way of how they start their class and end their class. So you could always set them up ahead of time in Lumio and have all the information for them. And we have a lot of these classroom management things in the back end in the teacher side. So with that being said, we are going to switch over to teacher now and think about how you can leverage Lumio in your own classrooms. You're going to go to this 3 lines up here at the top, and you are going to say leave class. It is going to bring you to this page here. You are going to hit Are You a Teacher right here down below. Are you a teacher? However, you guys have Clever. You will probably have Lumio in there that you can click on, and it will also bring you into the teacher side. And Kathleen is giving me the thumbs up, so I did explain that correctly. And then from here, just say teacher sign in, and then sign in with Google. You are successful when your home screen kind of looks like mine. You might not have as many lessons. I'm going to talk a little bit about your teacher side here. So you have your name up here. You can rename yourself over here by edit class if you want to name yourself something different than what you see there. It is student facing, so whatever is there is what the students see. But also let's click on where you see this class link here. Let's click on that class ID option. There's that live link I popped in the chat at the very beginning of today's session. So a lot of teachers take this link and add it to a resource on their Google Classroom. So just another strategy. Or if for some reason you have a classroom that maybe has like a tablet or two or an iPad or two, and that's what your students use over a Chromebook, that QR code is always a good option. And then you have guest access here, which is what you might want to turn off as a teacher. This makes sure with their credentials, and then that way you know who's contributing to the page. They can sign in later and finish their work if they wanted to. But you know, I work with some pre-K kindergarten teachers, and they're like, hey, start of the school year, my students are just getting to know like numbers and letters and things like that. So typing is always a nightmare. You might want to just keep guest access on, so they just join as a guest and they're in. Totally up to you. I suggest turning it off. My little ones, sometimes it's easier to keep that on. And then edit class, one more thing since we talked about it today. Immersive reader is not always defaulted as on, so you want to make sure you swipe that on if that's something that you want available for your students in your toolbar. From here, here's my lessons. Here's all my folders. If you want to get organized, there's a folder icon up here. We'll come back to this in just a second. But if you wanted to pop over to Lumio Library, it's called, so Lumio Library over here. If you click on Lumio Library, this is where you can get some ready-made resources. So you don't always feel like you have to recreate the wheel. So if someone asked me, was this created in Canva? I actually found it in here. I didn't even create it for that goal setting one. A couple things that you can take a look at. Teacher always changing. You can always also search for back to school and see what comes up. So there's some really good stuff in just by typing back to school. But if you want to check out featured and you want to see what more options they have, I do believe I actually got it from here, the setting the math goals file over here. I was a math teacher, so I was intrigued by that. And this is where I found page 2 here. I was like, oh, here's the pool tab. I just edited it a little bit to make sense for my students. My students, I knew, they might not know what short-term goals are, and they might not know what long-term goals are. So that's where I added the audio. I changed the wording up here to be your goal setting, maybe at the top here. So I did edit it to make sense for my class. So I just said save to my library, and I will come back to that and edit later. And there's some really good stuff in here. So you can probably get lost looking for things in this Lumio library. Just real quick, you have different categories, manipulatives, some of my other choose a sight word category. We do partnerships. So you're going to see like Jump Math is in here, Reading with Epic is in here, ReadWorks, graphic organizers are in here, some other stuff for my music folks, my art folks, some music for education. We did a partnership. So these are simulations to make music, some really great graphic organizers. These can spark some ideas for you. We just released a Science of Reading toolkit. So some strategies of how to use Lumio in that. If you hit see more, you have a toolkit of how you can use Lumio and Canva together. There should be one for Lumio and Google together. Yep, Lumio and Google. So there's a whole section. I already see like the little Google Classroom icon there. So it probably tells you exactly what to do with that. So hopefully you were able to find at least one thing. So right under your name, under my library, but go back to your own library, you have newer import. So you can always import a resource, but we're going to start with new today. We're just going to start a brand new file. If I hit new here are my options of how it's asking me I want to get started. It's always saving on the back end too in Drive. So it's saving in my library. It's also saving a copy of it in Drive. So you always have it somewhere. You have all these options of how you want to get started. Most people are starting with an import. There's so many different ways that you can start. Just a real quick, I'm just going to import real fast here. I have all these options. I can import from my Google Drive, so I can repurpose those Drive files. I can repurpose things from my computer. I can bring in editable things as well. But today, just been pretty simple since this was our first session. I'm just going to repurpose that math goal thing I just saved from Lumio Library. I'm going to hit my library. Yeah, so there's some good stuff in morning meeting. I think it's a manage your classroom, Carrie. You're absolutely right. Like if you're looking for some morning meeting things, there's some good stuff in there for sure to like. I was the tab queen. Like I had like 40 tabs open for my morning meeting. I had like every YouTube I ever watched in my morning routine. I had my Google Slides. I had my calendar. Things like that. There is that file I just saved. I'm going to hit math goals right here. I do not want all of these slides. I just want the one. So I'm going to uncheck all of these and I just want the goal setting one. And I'm going to hit add. From here, I'm ready to start editing. So I'm going to hit edit activity. I want to read this a little bit. I'm going to change this the wording up here to say, your goal setting. Move it up a little bit, make it look pretty, lock it down again. You know, my kids don't really know. Maybe my short-term goal is they don't know exactly what that is. Remember, in my gallery tool, I have an audio button or I can upload an audio, but in the drop-down menu, I can actually attach audio to the specific word. I can hit attach audio. Short-term goals are X, Y, and Z and hit add audio. And now my kids will be able to click on that and your short-term goals are. That's how you would do that. I can also keep adding to this lesson here. So I have a big blue sign down here. What I love about this toolbar too is that it's very simple. It looks just like how you did in your, looks just like the one on the teacher side and the student side when I was running a live lesson. Here's that instructional audio I was talking about. So you can add just like directions in the top corner if you want it for your students, and you have up to 5 minutes of that on each page. The magic wand, maybe I know this is going to be an individual handout and I want to share out. Andrea kind of talking about like sharing something on a Google Classroom for my kids to do independently. I'll want to convert this ahead of time. So I want to change this to an individual space ahead of time, not on the fly like I was doing in a live lesson. And the plus sign, same window I just saw. One thing I really like are these little graduation caps. So if you ever, so for example, if I want to go into game-based activities and I don't know what all of these games do, maybe I don't know what Monster Quiz is at this point, I can click on the graduation cap, watch a quick video of how it works, and then usually give you a little like teacher-led that tells you like, hey, I don't want to do this like as an asynchronous activity, and I don't want to do this. You also can kind of just scroll through here and see which ones you like. If you like Monster Quiz, you literally just follow along with the template. What kind of question choice do you want to use? Write your question, write your answers, pick out the right answer. You just kind of go along, add a question, and then you're good. And yeah, and you can keep adding, you can explore these, be button pusher, see what happens. But you can also hit finish editing once you feel like you're done. Also write a title. I was the queen of untitled documents, so I might call this the goal setting activity and hit finish editing. And now it's just going to add here to my Lumio library. I have some options here in terms of how I want to get me started here. So I can hit start to get started and start my live lesson. This is something I want to assign to my students to do on their own. I hit assign here and it gives me my share link, and I just copy this and add it into my Google Classroom, just like I would any assignment. I also have edit if I ever have to go back and edit anything. I also have a little few options here. So I have my 3 dots. You can move it into a folder. Duplicate it if you have to do this a few times. So Andrea, you were telling me you have like a couple small groups throughout the day, but you might do the same thing throughout the day. You want to duplicate it for as many class periods as you have. Unless it's going to be like a quick little handout for like your students, maybe just keep the same file. But if it's something that you've ran a few times, like games or something like that, you might want to give your kids a new share link. And then also you have here, and they're looking into different class flow options, so stay tuned for maybe updates to that. And then you also have a share link. So if James and I teach social studies together, and I'm like, hey James, maybe let's put the history lesson here. I'm going to take this copy. All yours, your copy of it. I don't have to worry about student work or anything like that. Some resources you have available to you moving forward. So you always have up at the top, you have a couple options, a couple buttons here.